What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. And today we are going to talk Rockets Spurs. Classic game just ended, about 30 minutes ago. Overtime, 110-107 Rockets. One of the best games of the playoffs, if not the best game of the playoffs so far. I got to say that. Finally, we got us a close game. Going into this, I think 15 of the 16 games were blowouts. Finally, we get a good one. But I'm going to go to Byron first. 110-107, Byron. And I saw some comments on Twitter telling where you're going with this. But I'm ready to hear it, Byron. What happened to the Rockets tonight, man?
Well, I think I don't know, man. It's a tough loss. It really shouldn't have gone into overtime. I think that, like I say about the Golden State Warriors, is if you live by the three, you're going to die by it. Way too many three-point shots. Had they converted on at least half of those shots, then it's easily a blowout for the Rockets again. I think James Harden, someone should, I'm not going to down him. I think he should be the MVP, but somebody should inform him that turnovers are not a statistic that you want. You know what I mean? Otherwise, maybe he would have had a quadruple-double if turnovers were a stat, but unfortunately they're not. I think there were too many turnovers. He took some really bad shots. He was looking like his old teammate, Westbrook, and he was looking like his other old teammate, Durant. And what was that, game 5, game 6 of the Western Conference Finals?
Game 7.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. Some of his shot selection. And I think that's something that he's going to have to go home, watch tape, and think about. And then in addition to that, I think that if they lose this series, he's definitely going to take the blame. You got to really point the finger at D'Antoni for allowing them to go out and shoot all the threes they shot. Ryan Anderson has been very, very streaky, and he took some, I mean, the 3-hit down the stretch was very pivotal. And I think that really what happened is down the stretch of the game, they started playing Spurs basketball. They let them control the tempo. You can't do that. You have to run them out of the gym.
Absolutely.
And furthermore, I knew going into overtime, the Spurs had a good shot because they really, really had the momentum. And like you always said, whoever has that momentum is usually going to win in overtime. It looks bad.
I was actually surprised because, anybody, if you've got League Pass, you watch Clipper home games on your League Pass. You guys all know who whatever his Lawler is. His last name's Lawler. He Law, first to 100 usually wins. Rockets had 100. So I actually thought they were going to win the game. I think 91% of the time, first to 100 wins the game. Byron, before I go to Charlie, I'm not naming any names here. But there were some people on Twitter, Rockets fans, of course, Facebook as well. Charlie knows this. He can back me up on this. Thinking the officiating was just awful. Byron, what did you think of the officiating?
I have never seen so many offensive calls. Man, and it makes you think like what Gonzo always says, the NBA is rigged. It's like the powers that be want a Spurs, Warriors, Western Conference Finals. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what really ruined the game for the Rockets. It was bad officiating, and the regulation.
Hey, people! The truth is coming out. It's not all the stuff right now. Byron's telling us how he really feels.
The end of regulation. I mean, you took it there. Let's just at the end of regulation.
Yeah.
Charge on James Harden on Come on, man.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Byron.
You gotta let
Charlie talk. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
Got to let them play that. You gotta let them play that.
I'm agreeing with you. I agree.
I'm like, are they for real?
Yeah.
They let and Skip. Man, I wish I could see Skip Bayless. I want to just slap him one good time. Just slap him. It's like,
Byron, I agree with you, but and I told this to Charlie before you jumped on. I agree with you. You got to let that go. Did he foul it? Did Harden foul and push off? He absolutely 100% did. No. Should they have let it go? Yes. However, because All the greats, Charlie, you know it, Byron, you've seen it. Kobe, they all use that off arm. Russell Westbrook, Harden, they all do it. Kawhi Leonard does it all the time. It's not called, and you call it. And let me ask you this, Byron. What has Jonathan Simmons done in his NBA career to deserve that call at the end of a game to draw the charge?
Nothing.
Not a damn thing. You have to let that go. I agree. Other than that, I actually thought the charge calls they called on the Rockets were all good calls. Brian Anderson bowled in. He ran dude over. It was a good charge call. And when Harden got out of control in the first craft, it was a charge. Those were good calls. The Rockets just got out of control, and that's the one thing you notice. I don't like the call when a guy passes off, drives in the lane, passes it off. I don't like that call, but it is what it is. But the Spurs got look at the Rockets, the benefits they got. That shot that I think was it Powell blocked Harden's shot.
That was a very.
It went off Harden's hand. They gave it to the Rockets. I don't care
what you say. That was a pivotal play. You say that, right? And then you make
it was a pivotal play.
But then you make the same. You're the type of guy. You make the same argument that the reason why the Cavs beat the Warriors is because Draymond Green was suspended for one game. What's the difference, bro? What's the difference?
What do you mean? What's the difference?
What is the difference? I don't want to hear any of that, man.
So you're comparing Draymond. No, hold on. Let me get this straight for everybody out there on the internets here. What you're saying is Draymond Green getting
words in my mouth. Before you put words in my mouth, let me speak for myself before you try to speak for me. You know what I mean? You come with all these hypotheticals and all that. We know. Come on, man. That was a very questionable call. Very, very, very questionable. Very, very, very.
It was a questionable. It was a charge, but I wouldn't have called it. With that said, though, you cannot compare that call to Draymond Green being suspended in Game 5. You can't do that. There's no comparison. And then, but we're not talking about that. If we want to have that argument, we'll have that argument when we preview the conference final. When the Warriors, we'll talk about that.
If you want to do what ifs, I'm just saying, man.
Absolutely. Charlie will probably agree with me. If Draymond Green plays Game 5, it's over in 5 last year, but we're not going to go there. But I'm going to Charlie now. I got to get your thoughts on this game. We got a lot from Byron there. What did you see today? Can the Rockets recover from this?
Well, we talked about this last time I was on your show on Saturday night. Mike D'Antoni has been getting schooled by Greg Popovich since the beginning of time. Once again,
yes,
when it was time for the coaches to coach, he got outclassed and put the ball in James Harden's hands. Instead of spreading the floor like he had been doing all night or using the ball screen like he had been doing all night, all of a sudden, Harden just started dancing and dancing and dancing. And we also talked about this on Saturday. Harden will let you down, Houston. He always has, and he always will let you down. No Leonard. We talked about this before the show. I looked up on the court as a Spurs fan, and I see Jonathan Simmons, no disrespect. I'm a Houston Cougar, no disrespect, but Jonathan Simmons, Patty Mills, Manu Ginobili, Danny Green, and the dinosaur who is LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yes.
Trying to play, and the Rockets cannot win. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. They don't deserve to win. I wish they would win because I think they would give the Warriors a more exciting series. But I just don't see it happening. I called Spurs in 6 before the series started. I'm sticking with my story.
It's looking good. It's looking good. We'll get to Kawhi Leonard in a minute. But I've got some notes. I took down a little bit of notes. Everybody can see here. I got, just little bullet points here, to give me an idea. But here's the 2 bullet points that really stood out the most to me. Basketball over way too much. Obviously, James Harden had the 8 turnovers. No good. 3 in overtime. Eric Gordon screws up down the stretch, even though he won the tip. Offensive rebounding. How big were the Spurs? And then another huge thing for the Spurs tonight. How big was Manu Ginobili, Danny Green, Patty Mills? And obviously we saw Patty Mills starts today. That works out for San Antonio. I don't know how what's he going to be like in Game 6 will be interesting. He's playing a lot of minutes. We'll see. The Spurs made their threes tonight. But what I don't understand is for about 3.5 quarters, the Rockets completely controlled the pace of this basketball game. The Spurs were going one-on-one. They were taking quick shots. You get it down to LaMarcus Aldridge. He's got James Harden on him, and he's shooting fadeaway shots. Get out of here. Game. There were questionable calls down the stretch. I'll agree. I didn't like that charge call on Harden at the end of the fourth quarter.
Like the jump ball?
Which jump ball?
I thought that was a good call.
That was a good call. No, that was a good call.
Hey, look, man. Look, let me tell y'all what I'm not going to allow y'all to do. Y'all not finna do things me, bro. Y'all not finna come to my couch with muddy boots and start rubbing them all over my white couch. Come on, man.
How was that a bad call? They dove for the ball, and they both grabbed it.
Both of y'all are from Houston, Texas, man, and no love for y'all not. I'm not.
Byron's making
bro. Y'all not finna Rick James me.
I'm rich, bitch. But Byron, hey, not a good call. They both dove for the ball. They both had it. It's a jump ball.
Okay.
What else would they have called there?
Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead with your notes.
No, Byron, you got it. This is my show. You answer my question.
Go ahead with your notes, man.
Byron doesn't want to answer Mike. He's dancing around the question. That's all right. That's what the best politicians do. I got to give Byron props there.
I know you were talking about your notes. You're talking about the offensive rebound was killing us.
Rockets. Oh yeah, go ahead. Speak on that, Charlie.
It's another thing I noticed that people don't really notice. They love the small ball. It hurt this. I think it hurt the Spurs, like you said, for 3.5 quarters. But Harden's down there trying to bang on LaMarcus Aldridge. Ryan Anderson's banging on LaMarcus Aldridge. All their guards are sitting there banging, trying to battle for rebounds. They got tired. They got tired trying to play that small ball, and the Spurs stuck with the traditional, we're going to try to post up LaMarcus Aldridge, and you're going to have to cover him. Even though LaMarcus wasn't scoring, they were banging, and they were banging. And at the end of the game, in overtime, the Rockets had nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
It would be in the best interest for the NBA, man, for the Rockets to advance, even though they don't want them to.
I agree.
Because I'm telling you, man, because
I think the NBA wants the Rockets to advance.
Me too.
With the banged up Kawhi,
yes,
no Tony Parker.
But even with Tony Parker,
like something out of what's that show? What's that show on HBO? The medieval show?
Oh, Game of Thrones.
Nobody looking like something out of Game of Thrones. Come on, man.
Hey, but even with Tony Parker, it's not like they had a chance against Golden State, anyways.
No,
I'm just saying.
At least the Rockets.
I prefer a Rockets Warriors series.
Yeah, though the Rockets maybe would get one, but still it'd be more entertaining. Byron, keep going.
No, that's all I had to say. Concerning that. I mean, it's just like I don't want to see, not just because I'm a Rockets fan. I mean, it's going to be a very. I won't be tuning in to a Spurs Warriors series. I'm not, man.
Those are the two best. Those two teams right there. If you want to teach a young player to watch if they're going to watch the NBA, those are the two teams you want them to watch. That's how you play basketball.
Yes.
Whether you love them or hate them. Granted, those are right now. Byron hates the Spurs, and obviously you're going to find out in future episodes how much Byron hates the Warriors. It's coming, guys. Don't worry.
Find out today.
Oh no.
I think even with them, they still have a loser for a coach right now. They got a substitute teacher. Like, come on, bro, Mike Brown. They'd be better off with Mike Jones coaching them.
Damn, Byron. Man. What else you got for us?
That's it.
Damn. Oh man. What about Klay Thompson? You got to worry about Klay Thompson.
Don't tell me you're a Klay Thompson hater too.
Oh, Byron, go ahead. Let him know, Byron.
I mean, he's a role player. I mean,
no.
Iguodala brings more to the team than he does.
Hey, Charlie, and he hates Skip Bayless. We're gonna save this. Byron, no more, because we're gonna get to the conference finals in about a week. We're gonna let you save. Don't use all your bullets up now, man. We want the audience to hear what you're gonna. We don't want to spoil it all for them. I gotta and here before I go on to our next topic, I gotta ask. One of the biggest plays of the game. I think it's a three. What is it? You're up one. You're down. I think it was tied. You let Danny Green drive to the basket. Or you're up 1. He drives to the basket and 1. When was the last time Danny Green put the ball to the floor and went all the way to the rim and actually finished? Has he done that all year?
Had Patrick Beverly fouled out at that point?
I don't know. I know Harden was on, had rotated on to him.
Harden was on.
That was on Harden.
Yeah, Harden was on, and then once again, Harden can't cover me. I haven't played basketball in 3 years. Harden refuses to play defense, and this is the reason why I tell my kids, I tell my players all the time, stop mentioning him in the same category as Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. He can't.
You're reaching with Curry, man.
Oh,
Curry
tries to play defense. Curry attempts to play defense, and he plays hard. Harden doesn't even try.
Hey, I'm gonna have to link you to something, Byron. I'm gonna send you a link to our guy Coach Nick over at B-Ball Breakdown. Very informative stuff. He puts out a lot of quality stuff, and he's got a video on why Steph Curry is actually a really good defender. Good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm gonna have to link you to that, Byron. And maybe you'll have a change of heart. Of course, but the narrative is he sucks on defense, which is not true.
Well, no, but you can't throw him. You can't say, okay, Curry, Kawhi. Nah, you can't.
No, we're not saying he's as good of a defender as Kawhi.
I'm talking about his top 5 players in the NBA. Harden is not there. Harden is not there to me because he doesn't play on both sides of the ball. He doesn't attempt to play on both sides of the ball.
I think Byron, I told you the other day when we talked, I had Harden as like the 7th best player in the NBA, even after this year.
I'll agree with that.
I had him about 7. I still have Russell Westbrook 5. Westbrook does at least give somewhat of an effort when he's guarding the ball. Off ball, not so much. Right. But I want to go to this. We're going to talk about these. Byron, you haven't done it yet. You weren't on when we talked about this. I know Charlie wanted to get into this last time, but we didn't have a lot of time. But these calls, and we saw it tonight with Ginobili. Rockets fans were mad. He rips the ball through, boom, hit his arm, foul. Should have been on. At worst case scenario, it's on the floor, no shots. But he gets the shots. Harden does it. Kevin Durant does it. Lou Williams does it. Charlie, what are your thoughts on this? That's the first one I want to talk about, where they go up under your arm and it's a foul on you. As defenders, nobody plays defense with their hands at their side. Your arms are out. What are your thoughts on that foul?
On that one, I think it's hard as a defender to try to stop these elite athletes if the refs are going to give them that call. And we talked about it before. I don't like Harden's call. Harden's play is worse to me than that because everybody in the NBA does the sweep through and everybody in the NBA does the pump fake and jump into you. Harden's the only one that does I'm going to hook my arm under you.
And he hooks his off arm under you. It's not like he's hooking, and then he goes into. That's not a shooting motion.
Right. That one bothers me more than the other fouls bother me. The other fouls are smarter fouls that the refs need to kind of watch a little closer. But Harden's play, to me, that's an offensive foul.
Yes, that's what Ronnie Nunn said. Coach Nick had him on a pod a couple weeks ago, and they talked. And Ronnie Nunn, former NBA official. If you're a follow the NBA like you guys know who Ronnie Nunn is, he even said it should be an offensive foul. He's creating the contact. Now, here's the thing. We are not hating on James Harden because if I'm James Harden, I'm doing it every single time. Charlie would agree with me on that. If they're going to call it, you better do it and draw that foul. Lou Williams does it too.
Right, take advantage.
What about this one, Charlie? The ball screen's getting set. I've got the basketball. The ball screen sets. The big man comes. He sets the screen. I'm coming around the ball screen. I feel a little bit of contact, so I just jack up a shot. Should that be 2 shots or 3, wherever you're at?
No, I agree that it's a foul. If you stop and somebody runs,
it's absolutely it's a foul. I agree with that.
If you haven't started shooting, you can't just give the guy free throws if he just throws the ball.
We got to change that rule to where it's on the floor, right?
Right. I think they will change it.
Exactly. And I'm going to go to one more thing, Charlie, and this gather step that we call it now. So I've got the ball. I've only got it in my left hand. I'm going left. I've got it in my left hand. So I've picked my dribble. I've discontinued my dribble. I'm going to take 1-2 steps. Boom, it's in both hands. Now I get my 2. Those first 2 outs in my left, the gather step is what they're calling it now. Come on now, it's travel, right?
That's the travel, and I know it feels like, I'm from Houston. I'm sitting here talking about Harden.
No. The one who does it, it's not really Harden who does that the most. It's Isaiah Thomas.
He does it. He's bad about it, but I'm talking about the traveling in general.
Kawhi Leonard does it too.
Kawhi Leonard does it on the pivot. James Harden does it on the step back. Isaiah Thomas does it on the gather.
Kyrie Irving is a big culprit of it as well.
But the stars don't get called. They're going to have to change. But they're going to have to change it.
Because, our young players and, you coaching, I don't coach any teams. I just work with young players now and their skills. I would never teach a young player to do that. If you do that in a middle school and a high school game, that whistle is getting blown immediately.
Every time. It's going to be a travel
every single time. At college, maybe you'll get away with it a few times, but it's getting called. You get to the NBA, and this is what all our young players are doing. They're watching these games in the NBA, and they're seeing that. So now they all want to go out and mimic their favorite players. It's bad for the game. They talk about Curry being bad for the game because he shoots 40-foot threes. How about these guys taking 4 steps? Bad for the game. Byron, what are your thoughts on these fouls and these travels?
I was actually on when we discussed that before. When
okay.
That they need to bring back the hand check because it's gonna be impossible to guard players like a James Harden, a LeBron James,
Westbrook,
or Curry. You can't touch him anymore. That's been my argument for the longest. We grew up on guys like Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley. They will get 50 on you with the hand check. Jordan 60, the Pistons with the hand check, But as far as the gather step, I don't know. As a former ref, that whistle's getting blown every time, and I do think that you got to get back to the fundamentals of the game and playing the game properly. So.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Now, this is the last thing I want to talk about tonight because I'm seeing it all over Twitter with how boring these NBA playoffs are. Oh, the Warriors and the Cavs, the NBA, and all of a sudden you see all this talk about this word parity, and magically parity has always existed until the last few years. Are we serious? I mean, Did the Celtics not dominate the 60s? This talk of, there's only 2 or 3 teams who have a chance now. That's how it's always been. And I'm just because most people are around our age, so we'll take it back to when Magic and Larry came in the NBA. When they came in the NBA, it was the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Sixers for a few years. Those were the teams, they had the chance to win the championship. There wasn't 8 or 9 teams. I don't want to go back to the 50s and 60s because there were like 10 teams in the NBA.
Exactly.
Of course there was parity. But you take it back when Magic and Larry got drafted. The Lakers, the Celtics, the Sixers from about 1979 to like 1985. That's who it was. After that, it was Boston, L.A., Detroit, and Portland. 4 teams you looked at, okay, they got a chance. Then in the 90s, you had Chicago. When Michael played in the 90s, from 90 to 96, it was the Bulls and nobody else. Nobody had a chance, right? We did not talk about this.
But you can't say nobody had a chance in the 90s because you had some solid teams in the East and the West.
Byron. Hey, Byron. Did they have a chance against Michael Jordan?
No. But I'm just
that's what I'm saying.
But the Knicks were really good.
They were good teams.
The Magic were good.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I was about to go to. But if you look,
okay.
That's what I was getting at. Let's just go the first 3 Bulls championships.
They were good.
Let's go the first 3 Bulls championships. That first year it was LA, it was Portland, and it was Chicago. Those are the 3 teams. Second year it was once again it was Portland, it was Chicago, and that was maybe it.
New York,
maybe Utah was
it. Because New York took the state 7 in ’92.
They did, but nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming.
But Seattle was on the come up too.
Yeah. I'm going to put Seattle as that other team in there. And then '93, it was Phoenix. Nobody I don't think saw Phoenix coming that year, but I'd say Seattle, Utah,
Houston was
Chicago,
good.
And the Knicks.
'93, Houston was good.
Yeah, they were good, but no, we're not talking about who was good. We're not talking about who was good. We're talking about who realistically
won the championship the following year. You can't say that.
No, because Michael left.
Oh my God!
But Michael leaves, and it was up for grabs.
About the West, they still won the West though, 2 consecutive years.
They didn't win it when Michael left. That's good. I'm giving the Rockets props. In 94, 95, it was wide open. Nobody knew who was going to win the championship that year, right? Michael comes back. You got the Bulls, the Magic. Out west, you got nobody had thought, but it was the Bulls and the Magic. But what I'm saying is each year,
the Bulls, the Magic, the Knicks, the Pacers. I mean,
nobody thought the Pacers or the Knicks were going to win the championship.
I'm not trying to be that old guy saying, "Oh, the '90s was this and that." But those were some exciting playoff years.
Yes, no, they were. But realistically, we thought 4 teams had a chance to win the championship, like it is now. You had this year going into this season, Charlie. You'll probably agree. The Warriors, the Cavs, and the Spurs were the 3 teams who had a shot. Right. That's how it's always been, and I'm sick of these people. Oh, it's boring. There's no parity. When was the last time you actually had real parity in the NBA, Charlie? I'm going to. I mean.
Well, the funny thing is I just had this debate with somebody else that was talking about that, and I think I wrote down my note. I don't have it with me, but in the last 30 years, there's been, I believe, 11 champions. 11 out of 30 has been the same teams. It's been the Lakers. It's been the Bulls. It's been the Pistons. It's been the Celtics. It's been the Spurs. It's been the Heat. It's been the Cavs. It's been the Warriors. It's been the same 11 teams and 30.
And then, of course, and it's sprinkled in there is the random Mavericks, because the Pistons in that 30 years have 3 championships.
Right. The Pistons have 3. The Lakers have a whole bunch. The Bulls have a whole bunch. It's just the parity. I understand what Byron's saying is when I believe the 90s were a little bit better team wise.
Oh yeah.
But you still knew who was going to win. Pretty much. Yeah. In the 2000s, you knew Kobe and Shaq were going to win. Yes, the Kings were good. They gave you an exciting series. The Blazers took them to the brink, but everybody knew Kobe and Shaq were going to win. Even the 2 years they lost, or the year they lost to the Pistons, everybody was shocked.
Yeah, and the thing is, nobody thought that. No, Byron wasn't, because he hated the Lakers.
No, but I predicted that as soon as Rasheed Wallace was traded. I told you.
Yep, he did.
Detroit is going to win it because defensive wise, size wise, anyways.
Yeah, he did. That is true. But that's what I'm getting at for the from like 2000 to 2007. Really, nobody thought anybody outside of the Pistons. Nobody was scared of the Eastern Conference. Nobody thought anybody was coming out. The Pistons got it that year. But then after that, now teams, they looked at them, but it was always the Spurs or the Lakers.
Right.
It was the Spurs or the Lakers.
The Heat got the one championship in there.
Yeah.
But it's been the same teams. Same. Been
exactly.
On top.
And that's really, I don't understand why people think like magically parity once existed. When did parity ever exist in the NBA? This is not football. This is not baseball. I don't watch hockey, but none of us probably watch hockey, so I can't speak on hockey. Although, 8 seeds are getting to the finals, and I think the LA Kings won as an 8 seed a few years back. So I guess, maybe in hockey there's parity, but in football, they play one game in the playoffs. The best team doesn't always win. Baseball, if your pitching staff gets hot, you're going to win a World Series if you get hot come playoff time. But in the NBA, the best teams always pretty much win unless injuries. The best team will win. That's what I think. That's why I think we need to look at the NBA and say it is great, because it's really the only professional sport of all the major sports that the best team wins.
Yes. And the crazy thing is, even though I'm going to say last year and the year before that, even though we knew the Warriors were going to get out the West, the Western playoffs were great last year. There were some great games. There were some great competition.
It wasn't just a steamroll. They had to get through a good Oklahoma City team.
The Spurs and Thunder had a great series. There were some good series going on. Even though you knew the Warriors are going to win, there were still some great series in the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. I got something here, because you guys, Charlie, you know who Colin Cowherd is?
Yes.
He's on Fox Sports 1. Byron, I don't know if you know him, but
not a big
fan. He made this comment today. He was talking to Rob Parker from Detroit. I like Rob Parker. Howard has said today, he said that LeBron James should be like beat anybody in the finals, but LeBron James has beaten all these great teams. He beat an old Spurs team who Tim Duncan was on the downside of his career. He beat a Warriors team who choked and had injuries. Then he beats a young Oklahoma City team. And I'm not knocking. And I agree, LeBron's the second greatest player of all time. But to say that Michael Jordan did not beat the teams that LeBron James beat, that is asinine. Byron, what are your thoughts on that?
I knew you were coming to me first. I mean,
I had to because you're a Jordan guy.
I have to say, I think that a while ago when I first moved to LA, I got into it with an elder, and he was saying the Bulls never beat any real talent. I think this is what I will say about the Bulls. I think a lot of the times the teams they played on the way en route to winning the championship were sometimes tougher than the actual finals. Like, okay,
The
I
Knicks.
don't care. I don't care what you say. People can say, "Oh, well, they swept an aging Detroit team." Well, Isaiah Thomas.
What do you mean? Hold on. Yeah, Isaiah was 29 and Joe Dumars was 27.
He was still their front court was still in their prime. They swept.
Yeah.
And Dennis was what, 29 as well. Dennis Rodman was 29, 30 at that time. As with and Lambeer was still fairly young. So they beat a very good a 3-time those division no, what am I saying? Those guys,
it's
right. They were
classic revisionist. It's classic revisionist history and alternative facts.
Right. They had been to the.
That's what it is.
3 times. Then, even in 90, if you go back and look at 98, that Pacers team, we were Matt. You and I both were afraid.
I was definitely afraid.
They were so good. They were almost like, I'm not gonna say they were as good as the Warriors, but I mean,
no, don't even go there.
But the way they moved the ball and the way they shot threes, the way they shot the ball, man, it was scary. It was scary. And then those Knicks teams.
Hey, let me say this. This is what Colin Cowherd did say. Those Indiana teams with Reggie back in '98. It was Reggie and a bunch of non-shooters. Didn't they have Chris Mullin?
They had Chris.
Didn't Mark Jackson hit threes?
Then they had
threes.
Travis Best. When you got Scottie Pippen guarding Travis Best. I mean, come on, man. And then they played an Orlando Magic team who knocked them off in '96. They swept Orlando Magic team. That team would blow out the defending champion Rockets by like 19-20. You cannot tell me that young team was not good. Now, in comparison, Mike and Scotty were older than playing a young Penny and a young Shaq, and it was like they made them look like they were in middle school. the way they dominated them, So when they got to the finals, and this is what people forget: that Seattle SuperSonics team for its time, they were downright scary. They were better than the OKC team that, and quote me on this, that LeBron beat with when he was getting the tutelage and the advice from Hakeem. That '96 Spurs team was better than Westbrook, Harden, with the young Gary Payton and young Sean Kemp. You got a Sam Perkins in his prime, deadlift shrimp, Hershey Hawkins, sharpshooter. And they were a defensive team under George Karl then too. That team was better than OKC that LeBron beat. Now,
I don't like comparing. It's hard to necessarily compare. The game is played completely different, and the rules are different. So,
but you can't tell me that the Blazers team that they played when they had a Clyde Drexler in his prime, Jerome Kersey, a young Duckworth. What's that boy's name?
Terry Porter, Cliff Robinson,
Terry Porter and Cliff Robinson,
Drazen Petrovic,
and then who was their big man?
Duckworth was the big man.
Yeah, no. The other forward. What's his name?
It was Jerome Kersey.
Yeah, I said Jerome Kersey already.
I think Kersey played. He played the 4. I think he played the 4 for them.
That's right. And you had you can't tell me that they didn't play good teams. And then when they played Barkley and hold on, I haven't even gotten to the Jazz yet. but that Barkley that they played, that Phoenix Suns team they played, they had the MVP in Charles Barkley. They had the #1 record in the NBA overall. That team was good. That team was scary.
Yeah, they won 62, 63 games.
Right, and everybody thought the next year they were going to win it all. But, Hakeem had a different idea.
Byron would throw the Rockets in there.
And then Utah, and then the Jazz, okay. That was a team that beat my Rockets, you know what I mean? They were a good team. They were very well coached under Jerry Sloan. Very good defensive team. But I'm not even going to talk about 97. I'm going to talk about 98. Do you know how hungry and how thirsty those guys had to have been to play the Bulls, and they had the #1 record overall, meaning the Bulls had to play them at home. They lost game one.
They were tied. The Jazz just had the tiebreaker. They had a tie record.
They lost game one in Utah. I mean, that team was really, really, really good, and they really it's hard. It was. I think Michael Jordan was kind of, even though he never showed it, he admitted afterwards. He said that was the hardest final out of all 6 because those guys. It's just like you go to the gym, you play a pickup game, and you beat a squad. They get next. They keep their same team. They're gonna come at you extra hard. We all play pickup games at the YMCA with each other. You know how that goes. So I mean, it's very, very difficult to beat a team back to back. Now, what I will say is, if LeBron can beat if they can beat the Warriors this year, then I mean, that's a huge statement, and that says a lot about his greatness and his legacy. Because you got to think about it. Now, he's beating all of them. They had to go. LeBron James is so good. It was like, you know what it's like playing LeBron? I imagine it's like this. It's like it would be like, Charlie, you got 3 little brothers, right?
Right.
That'll be like me, Matt, and let's say any other guy from the gym, right? Let's say Tamir. We playing your little brothers 3-on-3, right? We whipping their behind. Obviously, we're older than them. They're like, man, you know what? We're gonna play fours. Go get one man. I'm gonna get my big brother now. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's like playing LeBron. It's like LeBron beat all of them in the finals. So now it's like we have to get Kevin Durant off of OKC because they're a problem for us in the West. You know what I mean? We really can't beat them. And we really can't beat LeBron. So now we got to go and recruit Kevin Garnett. And now they're like Voltron. They're like Megazord from Power Rangers, bro. It's like they got to come together. They got to come together like Voltron.
Yes.
LeBron is a monster to them. So this is a statement. And I told Matt, we did our playoff predictions. I said they're gonna sweep through the first round and make a statement. I didn't think they'd sweep second round. LeBron is making a statement. It's like a whole different player. But
the Warriors aren't making a statement either.
They're making a statement too. But this will be the defining.
Oh yeah. If LeBron beats the Warriors this year, he's the greatest of all time.
But I haven't been on the show much. See, I don't know that. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I mean, he's a great player. I just for whatever reason, I don't like the way he plays. I also believe I don't think people realize how stacked the Cavaliers are. I think they say LeBron's so great that they forget how good Kevin Love is. They forget how good Kyrie Irving is. And the same people will tell me how overrated Klay Thompson is, how overrated Steph Curry is, and how overrated Draymond Green are. And then they'll tell me, oh, well,
but the Warriors are stacked.
Yeah, the Warriors are stacked, but Curry's overrated. Klay Thompson's overrated, and Draymond Green's overrated. Oh, but they're stacked. If LeBron James beats them, he's the greatest ever. No, you can't have both. You can't say the Warriors are overrated.
That's why I put LeBron James as the greatest because I don't overrate the Warriors. I'll say this Warriors team beats the '96 Bulls. That's just me, though.
They're great, but I don't think people realize how good. Like we were talking about Jordan's teams they were playing against. I'm looking it up a minute ago. You got 64-win Jazz, 62-win Jazz, 60+ wins Supersonics, 60+ win New York Knicks, 60+ win Phoenix Suns.
And the Sonics.
These are the
Sonics
teams
won 67 that year. I think
these are the teams that he's beating every year. So I can't.
LeBron has yet to beat LeBron. Well, they beat Golden State last year. The 73 win. They did.
Right. But that was my whole point of that whole monologue I gave y'all. Was like, look how easy his journey has been to get to the finals. Right. You know what I mean? In comparison to Mike. In '93, when the Bulls won their first three-peat and they played the Knicks, everybody was talking about the Knicks were going to beat them.
The Knicks were up 2-0 in that series.
They
were up 2-0.
Right, and they had 60 wins.
Did they win 60? I think the Knicks only won 59.
And the Bulls only had 57, and they went up 2-0 on them. And they never went after that. They didn't win no more. After John Starks ducked on Mike and Horace, they didn't win no games after that. And that's what you got to look at. It was like, that's why I said Mike's journey. I agree with Skip Bayless on this. Mike's journey to the finals oftentimes was harder than the final series itself, you know. And LeBron has not had to endure that. When I think about it,
he's never had a real challenge out east.
I mean, when they play, I won't say that Boston wasn't a challenge for them, but they were old, and they still gave them a run for their money, you know, and route to his championship. And you talk about, they beat a aging Spurs team, you know. I mean, an old Spurs team, aging Tim Duncan. What did Spurs come back and do to him that next year? He had to go back to Cleveland after they whooped that behind.
But here's the difference, though, between the Spurs in 2013 and the Spurs in 2014. Kawhi Leonard was light years better the next year. Remember, in 2013, Kawhi was only a second-year player.
He was young.
That was the difference. I think, was Kawhi Leonard was that much better the next year. Tim Duncan was still Tim Duncan, not the great Tim Duncan because he was obviously older. You know, Parker was pretty good. Ginobili was decent. Danny Green was just, you know, he makes threes all over the place.
You know what, man?
That was not the same. That Spurs team in 2014 was not as good as the Spurs team in, let's say, 2005.
I give LeBron. The Pacers team they played when they had Paul George and West and what's his name? The big man they had who plays for the Lakers now.
Roy Hibbert, trash Hibbert.
When they had Roy Hibbert, but shoot, he was blocking LeBron. LeBron wasn't just going to the hole doing what he wanted to do against Hibbert.
No, and it had a good Lance Stevenson.
That team was good, man. That team
they were good, but
was really.
Hey, let's not compare them to any teams that Mike had to go through.
But that's probably some of the best. You know, that's probably one of the most difficult teams they played, trying to en route to the finals. That was one of the most difficult, and they're not close.
But by you saying that, and that's making everybody's point that LeBron has had an easy road to the finals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too.
But look, now we got Kyle Lowry. He's going to opt out of his contract. He's probably bolting for the West because he thinks he has a better chance to get to the finals out West than he does going through LeBron James.
I mean,
if he thinks that he's really underestimated the Golden State Warriors.
That's probably best for him. You know, I think either
where's he going?
Or Derrick
San Antonio.
Be in San Antonio.
I heard some whispers about the Spurs. I heard some whispers about the Spurs going after him.
That would be in their best interest.
I don't know how much money they have, but hey, you can add another All-Star to your roster. It never hurts.
But he's not going to take no pay cut, man. This is the guy that left Houston. You know what I mean? To go play.
Hey, he said it's all about rings for him now. So if he's all about rings, he'll take that pay cut and go to Utah or San Antonio. Because what other teams out west is he going to go to and realistically win? Those would be the only two teams, Utah and San Antonio. It's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
I think it would be best. I don't see Popovich, or I don't see them. I think if they have a chance to get Kyle Lowry, he'll be chosen over.
The Spurs, do you want? I would take Chris Paul over Kyle Lowry. I don't care if Paul's older. There's not much. There's only like a 2-year age difference, or maybe a year. Do you want a guy in Kyle Lowry who continuously chokes in playoff time? Chris Paul's teams lose, but he still plays great. Do you want Chris? I'm taking Chris Paul all day long. All I need him for is 2 years.
Does that make them? Them? Do they beat the Warriors if they have Chris Paul though?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And here's why. Absolutely not. That Warrior team is loaded, and I'm saying this because I believe that their bench is deeper this year than they were last year. Only going to get better with those young guys like Patrick McCaw. You know, they got Mike, what's his name? James Michael McAdoo. You got Damian Jones. There's one. What's the other one? Kevon Looney. They got really young guys there. Ian Clark can play. These guys they're loaded on that bench. JaVale McGee. If I'm JaVale McGee, I'm staying because.
Let me ask you: What do players need to do in the West if they want to be Do you think Gallinari to Houston could help them?
What they have to do is hope one of those big four gets injured.
That's it. That's the only. That's the shot. Honestly, I know all the NBA fans are rooting for a 7-game finals and all this. I do not see the Cavs. I know they've got King James, as y'all call him. I do not see the Cavs beating the Warriors in more than 2 games.
I don't see them win. I actually am sticking to my initial prediction of 7 games. I don't know why, but I just have that. Everybody's expecting the Warriors to just steamroll them in 5. Maybe the Cavs get a 6. I think LeBron James has something for him. I mean, we got to be honest, whether you love him or hate him, almost single-handedly beat the Golden State Warriors 2 years ago by himself.
No, he's a great player, but I also saw the Spurs completely come back the next year in the redemption year and flat out demolish the Miami Heat.
That's true, but the Miami Heat had some older guys.
They had some older guys, but they were still a great team.
And Dwayne Wade did not show up at all in that series at all.
Nobody did. Nobody did for Miami.
He did.
Nobody did.
And the one thing that would tarnish LeBron's legacy, not all the L's he took in the finals, but just like that game 1 or was that game 2 when he started cramping up and he didn't. I was like, man, come on, LeBron. You
can't do anything about that, though.
Man, I'm just kind of like, man, please. Kobe and Mike with it, man. They'd have checked themselves back in that game.
I mean, hey, we all saw it. Kobe Bryant, what do you do? Tear his Achilles heel. He shoots the free throws and then walks off the floor by himself with a torn Achilles.
Find a way to glorify Kobe. It's something that ain't got nothing to do with him, bro. Always find a way.
You just said Kobe. You just said Kobe would have.
Him and Mike would have told Phil they was playing. They'd have checked themselves.
And that's why I brought up Kobe though. He's a warrior.
You got 2 Kobe fans on the air right now, man. Not too much.
Here we go. But let me say this though. You know what Matt was saying about beating the Warriors or the Warriors beating the Cavs. I think Kyrie has something for them too. I think that this is what I really think LeBron's mentality is going to be going into that series because everybody knows like this one right here. This will be 3 times. They really should have won the first. If they had a healthy Love and Kyrie, they would have beat the Warriors. They would have beat them. I mean, it went 6 games without them.
Stop it. But let me ask you this, though, Byron. No, real quick, Byron.
Come on, man.
Hold up, Byron. Hey, I got something. I'm about to destroy Byron's argument here, all right? So last year, last year, right, when both teams were fully healthy, right, regular season, postseason, both teams full strength, the Warriors were 5-1 against the Cavs. It took Draymond Green being suspended, Bogut going down for 6 and 7, Iguodala screwing his back up and not being 100% for the Cavs to win. All I'm saying is when both teams were healthy, it was 5-1 Golden State Warriors. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that means a lot.
I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's going to change. I mean, you got to think about last year. The Warriors had the series won. If Harrison Barnes shoots 30%, I'm not asking for 40. I'm not asking for 50. If Harrison Barnes shoots 30%, it's over in 4. Now you're replacing him with Kevin Durant?
I still think it goes 7, though.
Here's what I got to say.
Because the Cavs are much deeper this year. As you said, Char, they're deep.
Those guys were demoralized. You got to think about it. Their ego, their pride, their feelings were so hurt. Byron. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Every Negro on that team was calling Kevin Durant. What you gonna do? They texting him. They calling him. Soon as they lost, they didn't even wait. They text him that night. They start texting him. Hey, bro. Free agents coming up. So what's your plans? Every last one of them.
Hey, Byron. Tell them what the downfall though of the Warriors was when Klay. What did Klay Thompson say about LeBron?
LeBron was in his feelings. LeBron's feelings got hurt. Well, who feelings got hurt? You couldn't even. And let me tell you why I don't like Klay Thompson. Bad sport. You talking about that team is good for the game with their bad sportsmanship? He didn't even shake hands. He's so in his feelings that he lost because you grew up privileged because your dad was a role player in the NBA. He probably had you in basketball camps your whole entire life, and you finally lose. You finally take a L, and you can't take it. And let me tell y'all something else.
Hey, LeBron doesn't shake hands all the time either when they lose.
Man, let me tell you something.
He doesn't.
When the Warriors beat him the first year, he shook hands. And let me
He thought he was going to get the MVP. He was trying to stay around and shake hands.
Come on, Byron. I can't wait to hear this.
Let me tell you something else, man. Let me tell you this. This on a serious note. I think that LeBron is mentally like, you know what? I think his mentality going into that finals is going to be like, we are going to play with the same intensity that we had when we were down 3-1. We're going to pretend like we're down 3-1, and we're going to play every game like it's our last. Him and Kyrie, that's how I think. It's like it's going to be a continuation for him and Kyrie going into this series, and they're going to act like that. That's what I really, really, really think. That's the intensity it's going to have to take to beat that team. Now, on the flip side, if they lose to the Warriors, oh, you better believe Wade, Carmelo, they will be Cavaliers.
LeBron's going to get the entire banana boat team.
They might even go and get bars. They're like, how's your blood work, man? You good?
Damn. I know. I agree. It sounds good that they want to have that intensity, and you can say that all you want. But when you start chasing them little jokers around them screens over and over and over again, that intensity drops down a little bit.
And the Cavs are not as good defensively this year.
But let's be real. Kevin Durant does not perform well against LeBron James.
No, that's Kevin Durant's kryptonite.
He cannot. He admires him so much. He's so afraid of him.
I don't know. I gotta see that because I remember.
What I think is going to happen for once in a long time, like since '90, that I haven't really seen the star players guard each other. Like when Mike guarded Magic, I think LeBron is going to guard Durant in these finals.
Ooh, he may guard Draymond.
And if he guards,
although I don't think he can guard. The Cavs are going to sweep whoever they play in the next round, so they're going to get like 10 days off. So he better guard. Yeah, they're going to absolutely still sweep the hell out. Boston is the weakest. Boston is the worst number one seed in the history of the NBA.
Hey, I want to end on this note because y'all brought up the Kevin Durant LeBron thing. Kevin Durant goes at LeBron every time. Just because his team loses, doesn't mean he doesn't play well against LeBron. I guarantee you, he's probably averaging 28 to 30 against LeBron, shooting right at 50% or right under 50%.
His team just loses.
He just loses. He goes at LeBron and he gives it to LeBron. I remember when KD was at the peak about 4 years ago when people were really saying he was better than LeBron. He went at LeBron and he killed LeBron. Now he's got some help. I think Kevin Durant's going to put on a show, and I'm ready for him to put on a show. And I'm going to end on that note so I can go to bed.
Wait, one last question. How do y'all feel about, because everybody's been talking about it on Twitter, how y'all feel about the Celtics reunion minus Ray Allen? I got to know.
I didn't see it. I did not see it, honestly.
I feel like they should let it go, but hey, they're not a fan of the buddy and the super teams, just like none of us are fans of that. So they're still kind of butthurt about it.
Even though they themselves were a super team.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we'll get off on that before I click this end broadcast button. I do want to tell everybody, in the wake of what's happened today, I'm sure everybody saw it. Donald Trump, director of the FBI, with all this Russia investigation doing everything possible to show he's a guilty man. People who didn't vote or the lesser of two evils crap. I mean, you're seeing now why that's a bad way to think. So I just want everybody to think about that. But before we get off, on our entertainment channel that we have here, and we'll get on this. We'll talk some politics. I think that now may be a good time with what's going on now in the United States. But Charlie, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter. Give them your Twitter handle so they can all look you up and follow you.
Yeah, everybody, you know what I'm saying? If y'all don't know who I am, my name is Charlie Jones. I'm the head basketball coach over at George Ranch High School. Follow me at CharlieB.Jones_. Have some good conversation, some good convo.
Yes, sir. Byron, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at RADREMM.
Yes. All right. We will be back again tomorrow around the same time. Game time, same time as today. So we'll be back tomorrow. So until then, everybody. Yeah, and we'll have Byron back for some more hot takes. Everybody enjoy your evening.